Peace, y'all. This is God in them streets. Once again, I want y'all to make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you hit the like button for my content. Everybody channel that I go on, I make sure that I hit the like button. So do the same here. Today on 4th of July, because we know that 4th of July is when they told the lie about giving us our independence. I found a very special tape video from a year ago from an individual that happened to live in my building in 345 Fountain Avenue, Cypress Hill.
Bad man free. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
I'm sure you gotta think right now, I still owe 12 years because I was sentenced in 1999 to 2032. But I got a computation because I went and got my GED, diploma, college degree.
So all that effect in your time, so they give it like a good time?
Yeah. So I had to put in for for a computation. But they had to take me back in front of the board and go back over my jail experience to see if I was worthy of having my time cut.
So you free now, you free, man.
Same way I started out, because at the tender age of 8, I started getting on the bus, going back and forth from my end of East New York out to my grandmother's house in St. Albans, the Q7 to the last stop, 164th Street. They used to have a chock full of nuts across the street. Get off the last stop, that's where, DMV is. I walk all the way to the front and catch the Q38. So we went through the same type of graduation. We might have got a little bit more at the age of 14, because at the age of 14, knowledge, culture, freedom, I was blessed.
Grant, that's us. That's East New York. If we get on that train and you trying to get to Queens with your chain on or that leather jacket or whatever, we took that. Take that off. We even jumped on the J train sometimes. That's why I was crazy when Jay-Z mentioned that dude from East New York was robbing on the J train. I was like, yo, let me figure out how we got him, man. But I was robbing heavy on the A train at that time. And I used to go out by myself sometimes and try to catch, I call them stragglers. You catch somebody walking from the train station by themselves or whatever and just catch them. No women. I never liked that because my moms had a pocketbook snatch.
We always taught them against robbing women, the old, the young.
And there was one cat that snatched a pocketbook. I ain't talked to him to this day. So he snatched a pocketbook.
I'm gonna ask you this question. When you on it?
Culture of freedom, I was blessed with the knowledge. So a lot of my savage ways, went to the wayside. But being from that environment, of course, we already trained to go. So 14, they started moving further, doing stick-ups, from Liberty to Grant Avenue. The same process, like I said, when we used to get together, the BK mob, and how we would go. And once again, let me not be what you would call biased or whatever. Because shout out to the Far Rockaway Guard. Shout out to, the twins forever, Jamel and Barshar, and numerous other guards that we grew up with in this. So I want to include the Far Rockaway crew coming on through, because they also on the A-line. Remember, that's the law train. They run all the way from Queens all the way to the Bronx. The only train that covers all 4 boroughs except for Staten Island. So, like I said, we used to come together. Like form Broadway Junction after Euclid, And like I said, everybody getting on from their prospective parts of Brooklyn. Then we going from there to Utica Avenue. Everybody else getting on from their prospective parts. Then we gonna hit NA Rock, and depending on what end you live on, depending on whether you on the A or not. and Fally Hoyt and Skimmerhorn, J Street Borough Hall. Boom, we going over the bridge. You know, Taste the Honey, 1978 show with Michael Jackson and all that.
I could tell this man gonna be scared to death. Plus you had all these Death Wish movies going on and all that. And the train station was crazy. So people knew you ride at your own risk. The 75th precinct wasn't in the train station yet. There was above ground. So you had transit cops. So once you run out the train station, half of the time transit cops would stop. And transit cops and the street cops wasn't on the same frequency. So they couldn't call them and be like, yo, he just ran out the train station on Euclid, he's was. So we all knew that. One time we stole, we robbed cash for so many coats, it was ridiculous. I think I had like 7 or 8 V-bombers. If you love the V-bombers, I sold them for $50 a pop in the project. But at the time,
wilding out. You know, because once again, don't look at it from the perspective of being savage, but look at it from the perspective that all your life, you know, everywhere you went and everything you learned was about the Caucasian man being supreme. You go to school to George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, you know, Benjamin Franklin, you know, Thomas Jefferson, you know, Alexander Hamilton, all these individuals, everybody created, you know, something other than a black man. So through lack of history, through lack of ignorance, you know, going into the church and seeing that the one that's your almighty individual that you should pray to is blonde hair, blue eye. And now our eyes is open and we see all the atrocities, the enslavement, and not just the physical enslavement, but the mental enslavement.
With Jack, which is Johnny Champion, that was my boy. Pee Wee, Butch, his brother, that's my actual mentor.
My cousin.
And I came up watching and wanted to be like. But stuff started changing. Stuff started changing for me around 80.
How old are you then at that time? 80?
I'm 8. That put me on to what I became good at. Well, at least I thought that's all I was good at.
Yeah.
His name was John Wayne Farmer, and he used to watch me. So what he did one time is, he like, yo, let's go to TSS. Now TSS is like a, what would that be today? That would be like a Walmart.
So those are the reasons why we counteract out by doing things, you know what I'm saying, that was considered to be crimes against society when they did crimes against a whole population of people. And I'm not justifying this because now that I'm much older and mature, you know, I know that those ways were wrong. But at that time, as a youth, and being angered at the poverty, being angered at the situation in which they physically and mentally placed us in, that once, you know, I got the knowledge of self, I'm like, if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna do it to the ones that did it to us. Plus,
I missed the dope era because I'm born in 1972.
Yeah.
So by the time I'm coming up, I'm like 77 when I start really noticing stuff. And everybody in that project was family. Everybody in that project was family. Everybody. When you came outside, I don't know what went on in the 60s and early 70s, but it was so many kids in this project. It was crazy. And it seemed like you had everybody to play with. But the older people actually played. My father was there, my mother was there, my father drove tractor trailers. My mother was a stay-at-home mother.
Yeah.
We still snuck on the cheese line. Everybody in that project was on the cheese line. So don't let nobody fool you back in the 70s. So about, yeah, I was going to. Everybody, family members on that cheese line, so it wasn't no embarrassment.
I experienced so much racism out there, you know, going down south on the bus, 5 years old, and cause a white man want to get off the bus quicker than my mom's. He gonna elbow and knock off the wind out of
That's when it started. That's when my actual robbery started. And I started recruiting cats. And I had stole a GT Performer. And for people that don't know, and some cats watching might know, this GT Performer is worth $600. So the GT Performer with the mag wheels and all that. I come up in the project, it was like me pulling up in a Bentley. Everybody was like, yo, look at this bike, yo. And for people that don't know, and some cats watching might know, this GT Performer is worth $600. So the GT Performer with the mag wheels and all that. I come up in the project, it was like me pulling up in a Bentley. Everybody was like, yo, look at this bike, yo. That was number 2 thing I liked. That feeling of that. Yo, look at this bike, yo. Boom. Now, it's factors going on in the middle.
Years old, and cause a white man want to get off the bus quicker than my mom's. He gonna elbow and knock off the wind out of her, you know. I'm glad later on I wasn't in my teenage years, because I probably would have never came out of jail down there, or they would have ended up killing me. Just being out there, East New York, Cypress Hills, our school teachers, everybody, you know, some racist things. So once again, once we got the knowledge of self, and to say this, because I'm not going to keep going too much further, I'm going to use little clips in this from my man Craig, explaining to y'all, like I said before, how we used to make sure that our neighborhood was safe. See, because in 1972, also when he moved over there, at that time, the brothers was bucking their lords and black messiahs, you know? So they always taught us to protect our community, and which is what most gangs came about, from black people moving, migrating into their neighborhoods. And now we got to fight in order for us to survive, because they coke the crack.
This changes everything. Even the music changed. Everything changed there. And it's hard to explain, but you can actually feel the change. Everything changed. They started getting more money, and they started, to me, getting reckless. From being older, and you know, I ran some stuff, they started getting reckless once they started getting more money. They started getting more money, and they started, to me, getting reckless. From being older, and you know, I ran some stuff, they started getting reckless once they started getting more money. That's what crack.
So they outnumber us. And this is where all the respect has gone, because now the gangs use these same communities to keep those communities hostage under, you know, their terrorism, not protecting the women and the babies and the old. But like Craig said back then, before anything took place, we had already had the women and the children. You know, it's sad to say, but when it was on that level, and you living, you know, in the concrete jungle, you know, and you were part of the everyday, like we say, Brook Norm, like this is like being equivalent to being in the army. Shootouts, people being killed every day. So you gotta always be on point. So everybody know that once the signal is given, they know to get up and clear the benches, because they know something about ready to go down. And I'm going to get it short and end it with this right here. Craig also going to say in there how after they cleared the benches and they go upstairs, you can look out the window and see the shootout. And that's another story, high power story I got for y'all. So at the end of the day, like I said, you're going to see us not only protecting our community, our women and our babies and the elderly, but also you're going to see how I stepped in there. I got it at the age of knowledge, culture, of freedom, which is 14 years old. I got 120 at that same age, you know, and I began to teach all the other young ones that was in my immediate neighborhood. Arif, Latif, which I got a story about him.
Arif was like the coolest older dude amongst all of them. And he was the one that was getting them all to become 5%.
The lesson.
And back in them days, we used to sit in a circle, young cats on the
My
bench.
student.
They used to be in a circle and they cipher. And they had to recite their stuff and all that. And I've seen Arif slap a cat in that cipher because he didn't remember what he was supposed to recite. Right then I knew I ain't want to be a 5%er. I said, nah, ain't nobody put their hands on me like that. Nah, I don't want to be no 5%er.
I got a story about him. Allah bless, those that return to the essence. Allah was a live writer. Supreme that he talk about. Justice. So many other numerous individuals. Knowledge. All of them that was over there. Beasia. I-Asia. Arabia. Love Asia. Full. We had the Fountain of Youth, right on the corner of Fountain and Belmont. So once again, I want to show you how our environment was prior to all this and how we grew up with that love that's missing in our community. And this is why it's so easy for us to murder, maim, and do all those things that is contrary of our very nature and existence. So once again, support me. Make sure all y'all keep adding on as my subscribers. And most of all, like I said, it don't cost nothing to hit the like button because I'm always going to have something to give you. This ain't a regular, God show. Like I said, my show is God, Gangster, and Gentleman. God, for me being a 5%, the majority of my life, more of my life than I was at 85%. Gangster because of what came about, and I became a product of that very same environment. And gentlemen, like I said once again, when I was able to get from out of that environment in 1980 and go down to St. Augustine's, it was a college then, it's a university, and achieve my 4-year degree. But I made one mistake because of that environment, and I'll repeat it again. My junior year, I got caught with a 25 automatic in my back pocket. So by the time I got my degree, it standed for, that F was for fail. All right? Because once again, I got the degree, but now you know what it is. I got this on my back, which allows them to say that I can't get any employment because I broke the law in a substantial way that, they're not willing to give me a second chance, even with this college degree. And I always been in the streets one way or another, slumming, all that. So like I said, I got plenty of content for y'all. Thank y'all very much, those of y'all that take the time to listen. I know I talk a lot, but I be trying to give it up to you. And sometimes it can't be short and sweet. This is God in them streets. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button. Make sure that you share and let the people see through our mistakes how they can correct theirs. Peace.